everybody, welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well today. In this video, I'm going to give you guys a brief update of my buddy's Ledn account. During the previous month, I told you that my buddy decided to move his Bitcoin from Blockfi over to Ledn, and to date, he's been very happy with his experience. But we all have our own preferences, so I'll cover a few more details that I didn't cover in the previous video. This way, you guys can make a more informed decision about where you want to deposit your funds. Currently, Ledn doesn't support Ethereum, but they do support USDC and Bitcoin. So my buddy did end up keeping a few residual assets on Blockfi. However, if you guys wanted to know which CeFi platforms he has his assets on, what his portfolio consists of, and get notified when he does move some of his funds over to a different platform, make sure you guys subscribe to my free newsletter. Every Tuesday, my buddy publishes a short write-up providing you guys with updates and sharing some of his most recent moves. To sign up for that free newsletter, all you need to do is click the link in the description below and enter your email address. And to further supplement your research, if you're looking for testimonials from users, then go ahead and check out my Discord. I have multiple channels dedicated to some of the more popular CeFi platforms out there. So after watching this video, make sure you guys go ahead and check out the description below. There you'll find a link to my Discord and my newsletter. With the intro out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this video. Alright, so this is my buddy's Ledn account. If you follow his work, if you follow the newsletters, you know that he has Bitcoin and other accounts. He didn't deposit everything over to Ledn. He still has about 0.25 Bitcoin left in Blockfi. And I think he probably did that because on Blockfi, on the first 0.25 Bitcoin, you can still get up to 4%. And rather than throwing all his assets into one platform, he likes to sprinkle it around to diversify his risk. So initially he deposited a little bit over 1 Bitcoin on June 10th. On June 30th, he received his first distribution. Based on today's price, that's approximately $130. And once he became a little bit more comfortable taking out a loan, he deposited another 0.25 Bitcoin into his Ledn account. Overall, my buddy's pretty happy with the service. Both him and I would prefer if they gave weekly distributions versus monthly distributions, but currently they're offering one of the most competitive rates in all of CeFi. That includes a very competitive rate for USDC. There's only a handful of platforms out there that offer a better rate than Ledn, one of which is Bitrue. If you want to learn more about Bitrue, either you can click the upper right hand corner of your screen or click in the description below. This platform's model is more nuanced than what you're used to, so before you make any commitments or deposit any funds, make sure to watch those videos. But overall, users have told me that they're very happy with the services offered by Bitrue, and a few of my Discord members have been using Bitrue for more than a year. Coming back to Ledn, one thing that my partner did notice is that compared to Blockfi, their feature richness isn't as robust. Personally, I think that's going to change over time. I mean, they recently had a Series A funding round where they got $30 million, bringing their valuation to $230 million. It was led by Kingsway Capital, with participation from new investors like British billionaire hedge fund manager Alan Howard, Reddit co-founder, and a few other private firms, including Parify, who specializes and focuses on crypto-related investments. And they're already putting this capital to work. For example, they introduced Ledn Trade. This allows you to trade between BTC and USDC. Currently, it's only available in select countries and select states. But just like with Blockfi and Celsius, who originally couldn't offer services in many states, they had to get the proper licenses because certain jurisdictions require more regulations than others. But with time, I'm sure it's going to be available in most countries and most US states. And before I dive into the differences between Blockfi and Ledn, let me give you guys a quick tour just in case you're new to the channel. But if you've seen one of my past videos before or you're familiar with the platform, I do have timestamps in the description below. So go ahead and use them to forward to the next segment of the video. Moving along, in addition to their savings account, they also offer users the ability to borrow against their collateral. So if you wanted to, you can actually borrow against your Bitcoin for a monthly interest rate of 0.79%, and that comes out to 9.48% annually. The term is 12 months, it can be extended, and let's say you wanted to pay back the loan early and you didn't want to take it out to its full duration of 12 months, you can do so and you won't be charged anything extra. And since you're not selling or buying any Bitcoin by taking out a loan, it's not considered a taxable event, And a lot of rich people out there have been doing this for years, especially in legacy finance. They've been using their stock as collateral to take out loans. This way, when the market's hot, they'll keep exposure to their assets, but they'll also have additional liquidity to service their everyday needs, or maybe to take on a little bit of leverage by buying, for example, real estate. And that's just one way you can take advantage of a service like this. I'm sure if you guys commit some time, you'll come up with your own strategies. And thirdly, they also offer B2X. So what many people like to do with their Bitcoin collateral is borrowing against it to buy even more Bitcoin because they believe the price of Bitcoin is going to go up in the future. So in other words, they're basically exercising a little bit of leverage. On Lend here, they help you skip one of the steps. Instead of borrowing money against your Bitcoin and then buying Bitcoin, you can use the BTX loan service offered by Lend. And when you place an order here, they'll automatically borrow against your Bitcoin and buy more Bitcoin with it. Now, when you do go ahead and proceed with something like this, make sure you look at all the details, pay attention to the spot price of Bitcoin. Since it's likely that they're going through intermediaries to get you that Bitcoin, it may result in you getting Bitcoin a little bit higher than the current spot price. So again, before placing your order, look at all the details. And if you have any questions, make sure you guys reach out to the team. They're very responsive. This way you'll avoid surprises later on. Now that I've given you guys a brief intro and an update, let's go ahead and look at the differences between Blockfi and Lend. When I first started covering these CeFi platforms back in 2019, many of the platforms like Crypto.com, Celsius, Blockfi were offering very competitive rates of 6 to 8% on Bitcoin. And in my view, that was mostly a marketing tactic because back then a lot of people didn't trust these platforms yet. But over the last couple of years, what we've seen is that the rates are very tightly correlated to the volatility in the market. And recently, after Bitcoin made its plunge, Blockfi dropped their rates to 4%. Not only that, but they also limited the amount of Bitcoin that could earn 4% to 0.25. And if you look at some of the other assets, initially they started off not having a tier. Now just about every asset on their platform has a tier. And this includes USD-based stablecoins. Now you can only earn their maximum rate on your first 50,000 USD. And the reason I'm highlighting this is because on Lend, you can earn 6.1% up to your first 2 Bitcoin. Anything over 2 Bitcoin, you'll earn 2.25%. And on USDC, you can earn 9.5% with no limitations. And when it comes to withdrawals, Blockfi lets you make 1 free withdrawal a month. Anything after that, you'll be charged a fee. And this applies not only to Bitcoin, but to all the assets that they support. In terms of withdrawal time, on Blockfi, it may take 20 to 48 hours. On Lend, it could take up to 72 hours. And this is where a lot of the complaints from my community originate from, especially with Blockfi. Because with Blockfi, not only do you have to wait 24 to 48 hours, but sometimes they require you to do additional KYC, and that bugs a lot of people because they've already done some KYC in order to go ahead and use the platform, and to do even more KYC when withdrawing, it comes off as being excessive and too burdensome for a lot of my community members. Now with Lend, it could take up to 72 hours. I did a test withdrawal of about 0.25 Bitcoin, and it took a little bit over 24 hours, but they didn't impose any additional KYC requirements on me when I withdrew my Bitcoin. So if you're the type of person that likes fast withdrawals within the same day or within the same hour, then neither of these lending platforms are going to work for you. Now, when it comes to the loan rates on Blockfi, the lower LTV that you take out, the lower your interest rate. For example, if you take an LTV of 20%, you're going to be only charged 4.5% interest. But on Lend, you're limited to a LTV of 50%. And for that, they charge an APR of 9.48%. On Blockfi, if you were to take out the same LTV, they would charge you 9.75% plus a 2% origination fee. And lastly, when it comes to distributions, that's where they have some overlap. They both pay out interest distributions monthly. All right, to conclude the video, I'm going to give you guys my tentative exit strategy. Assuming things play out the way that I think they're going to play out and we have a rally to complete the year, I want to take some profits into stables to make sure that I have a solid, sound financial bedrock. And if I play my cards right, the yield that I generate from all my savings accounts across all these CeFi lending platforms should replace the salary from my 9-to-5 job. And as you've probably noticed, a lot of these lending platforms offer premium rates on Bitcoin, but they limit it or cut it off to a certain amount of Bitcoin. With Lend, it's 2 Bitcoin. With Blockfi, it's 0.25. So from a yield maximization standpoint, I think it makes sense to put Bitcoin in a few different lending platforms. And also from a risk standpoint, it makes sense to diversify your assets across these lending platforms. This way, if there's some sort of black swan event and something happens to one or two of these platforms, at least you have accounts with other platforms that you can fall back on. And I think the best way to learn about these platforms and get comfortable with them is by using them. So what I typically do is I'll put a little bit of money in, use the platform for a few months, and if I like the service, then I'll go ahead and deposit even more money. So instead of cashing out at the end of the year and then doing your research, personally, I'm gonna go ahead and research ahead of time. This way, when I cash out, I can put all my assets to work right away. Now, I do want to emphasize that this is my tentative plan. I may not commit to it depending on how the market performs. So if you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, you should definitely subscribe and click that notification bell, because I will be publishing more videos on Ledn and other CeFi platforms and DeFi protocols. But on top of that, you should also subscribe to my free newsletter, because my buddy sends out those updates on a weekly basis. And every Saturday, I give you guys lending rate updates. And if you click here, you'll get a very nice and updated spreadsheet of interest rates across all the lending platforms that we use. But if you don't have the time to go through all my videos, all the content that I offer in my Discord channel, I also have Patreon services. For example, if you pay as little as $20 a month, you'll get access to my private Discord channels where I publish my moves and insights in real time. Plus, you'll get the paid version of my newsletter as well. You guys could also take it a little bit further and get one-on-one dialogue with me. And to do that, you would have to sign up for one of the higher tiers. Or if you don't see a package you like here and you want something a little bit more customized, just reach out to me on Discord or Twitter and we'll set something up for you. Well, that pretty much wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is CryptoOneStop signing out. I'll talk to you folks next time. Bye.